All right, let's rig some lures. Over the past few weeks, I've been putting out some videos here showing you the lures I've been making, and I appreciate you watching the videos. And I keep saying that I was going to show you how I rig them up, and this is it. My regular viewers have waited long enough, and I can't wait anymore. So I'm going to show you some of the lures that I made and how I rig them to use them in certain situations. So my faithful and regular assistant is over here. Say hello.
Hello.
And he's going to be helping me out today. Give me the first jig head.
Yes,
So
sir.
we had a video just recently where I showed you how I make these jig heads weedless, and I'll show you how I rig them on these lures here. So I made a bunch of clear lures up today just to show you how they're going to look. This is again a shad that I made myself. Carved this out of wood and then made a mold of it, and apparently it is 2.5 inches long. Easy, kids. So we're just going to rig it on to this hook right here just to show you what it's going to look like. And there that is. And the one with the weed guard, it will be in the same position, and it will work just as well. So you just cast this out and you can swim it in. This tail, it's a wedge style tail, so it has a nice little wiggle when it comes through the water. Maybe the next one. These are some hooks I like to use when I'm fishing really heavy cover, or really heavy weeds rather. Nice flashy swimmer, and I believe this one is 3/8 ounce. Alright, give me the shad please. So these are the shad I first made on the channel, and it fits this hook really well. So these have a corkscrew on the front. Again, this is not how the manufacturer designed these, but I already tried them out in one of my heavily weeded lakes that I fish, and it worked really well for that. So you see I measure up where about that hook's going to come through. Straighten the lure out, poke it straight through. And one thing that was kind of neat about these ones, after you straighten them out, is that this little fin on the top, you see how the hook kind of sits on the side of it? That little fin on the top kind of acts like a little bit of a weed guard as well. And this whole rig is about 4.5 inches long. And of course, to expose that hook, so you pull it back just a little bit, and then it sticks right into the plastic like that. So here's a weightless corkscrew hook that I use on another shad that I made. This one here, and I showed you in some of my molds, I'll use a little piece of wood to put a slit in there as a hook slot. So this is, again, is for fishing around really heavy cover, but in shallow water where I want to go just under the surface. Same thing, I measure out where that hook is approximately going to go. Right through the top, to expose, and there's the hook slot, the hook in the hook slot. So this one's about 4 inches long. Here's one of the weedless jig heads that I made. I didn't make this one on the video. I made this one after the fact. But you can rig these on one of these lures as well. This is how my father up in New England would be using this. He'll be fishing these in a lot of rock piles out in deep water in the summertime. And he'll be upset that I gave away his secret to success, deep water rock piles. Approximately 4-inch shad. This one's weedless, and it has a little flash of dew on it too. Here's one of the small shad that I made. This one I hand carved. I'll This one's a little prettier. And we'll use a smaller flashy swimmer for these ones. Corkscrew it right into the middle. And whammo. You can use this around heavy cover, you can use this in the weeds, and it'll come right through it. But again, it'll go right down and hook that bass when you need it to. This one is about just 3 inches. This one here, I don't think this will show up on camera too terribly well, but this is a mullet that I made. Carved this, and I put little mullet fins for those of you that fish the bayous around the Gulf and whatnot. We have a lot of mullet, and I know mullet don't have wings on the top of their head, but I wanted this to go like right under the surface. What are you laughing at? And I wanted to go right under the surface, but again, I made a wedge style tail, but this is a top pour, so kind of the wedge style tail got cut off just a little bit, but it still works. And I'll rig this weightless with a corkscrew hook on it as well. I catch bass and redfish fishing along the edges of grass lines around on the bayou. This guy is 5 inches. And I know what you're thinking. What about a swim jig, regular guy? Do you use them on swim jigs? I sure do. I have my favorite swim jig right here. This is made by Mad Bites. It's the best deal for the swim jig that you can find on that there Big River website. For the money, it's just the best. I like it. The hook is stout. It's big. It's not too big. It could be a little bigger, I guess, but I think it's a great swim jig. There's a lot of reviews that say that the skirts fell off. I haven't had that problem yet. This is another shad that I made. I actually had my nephew 3D printed that on a super fancy 3D printer and computer, which was super nice of him. And that makes an ultra nice shad shaped swim jig. Say that 3 times fast. Shad shaped swim jig. Can you say it? No, can't do it. And fired. Okay, this is 4 inches long, or 4.5 if I could read a measuring tape. So these are the way I do it. What else can you do? I have a, this is another shad that I make right here. This is just a little skipping shad, just flutters down. That's on a weightless hook. Corkscrew on the weighted corkscrew hook with a flashy swimmer. How about a buzzbait? Can you do it on a buzzbait? You can sure do it on a buzzbait. How about on a paddle tail? Do you do them on a paddle tail? Yep, these are the paddle tails I make. Flashy swimmer weighted hook. My son likes to use these. And these new big shad right here. Cut a slit in them so that the smaller hook can go in it. And then the homemade flashy swimmer goes on it. Absolutely. What about a mega shad? You sure can put it on a mega shad. What about a monster shad? You sure can use a monster shad. And then you get to the ridiculous shad. Corkscrew hook in that, put a trailer hook on the back, and at some point it just gets ridiculous. Got my assistants fishing here with me today, testing out the lures. So here's a close-up of that 4-inch shad that we made in the first video. You can see the fin detail and the gill detail, and remember that's just a plaster of Paris mold. We did a video here of it swimming in the water so that you can see the action that you get from this, essentially what's a reproduction. My faithful assistant slowed it down so you can see that nice tail action as it goes along. This is my 2-inch wedge tail shad that I made myself. Again, slowed that video down. You can see that little tail. I know it's not that great, kind of hard to see. You can still see that little tail of wagging as it's going through the water, giving you that nice little natural looking swimming action. He's not a lunker, but I'll take him on a homemade shad.
Don't forget.
Hey, what are you kids doing?